it's Mr. Keys, and today we're going to talk about playing bass lines using eighth note rhythms. Previously, we spoke about this in the chord series in these videos here. You should also review these videos if you're not sure what an eighth note is. Here's the notation for the chords of the beat that we'll be studying. So we're in 4/4 time, and the chords are A minor, D minor, that's the first bar, A minor, D minor again, second bar, A minor, D minor a third time, and the last bar is going to be F major and G major. Notice how this is a 4-bar progression, and each of our chords is going to be 2 beats each. And these last ones are also 2 beats, and there we have it. Let's see what this sounds like. So we can quantize these notes by half note value, since they're each 2 beats. Now we're going to take a look at the rhythm that we're going to be using for the various patterns. So we're going to use the grid notation, of course. And we're going to divide this into 8 pieces for 8 notes, of course. And this is 1, half, 2, half, 3, half, 4, half. Now to match this with what the chords are on top over here, our first chord starts on beat 1 and it goes for 2 beats. So our first chord starts here, and our second chord will start here. So there'll be 2 beats each. Now if you take a look up top, each of the chords is labeled as either the first chord of the bar or the second chord of the bar. All right, so here's our first pattern. We'll check these ones off, and we'll also check these ones off. So let's play it and see what it sounds like. So we can see below that we have our pattern there, and now since our lowest valued note is 8th notes, when we quantize these notes, we'll quantize it by using an 8th note value. Now I'm going to show you using the editor how we can take this pattern and add 1 note extra per chord. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to add a note on the and let's take a look at what this looks like down in the editor. So here's the first note, and this is where and happens. So we just copy it by pressing Command C, and then we paste it right here. And then for our second note, for our chord, we're going to put another one on the and of 4. So that will go right there, and I'll just drag this down to that note down there. And then we'll do the same thing for the next bar, and so on and so forth. I'll drag this down, and then for the next bar, the and of 3, and then right here, and then right here. It changes, of course, it goes to an F note, and then here also it changes, and we go to G. All right, so let's see what that sounds like. And just in case my editing wasn't precise, I'm going to select all of them and quantize by 8th notes. Here we go. Okay, so there you have it. We just created a new pattern based on drawing in notes. Now, we actually didn't use the pencil tool, and that's the secondary tool here. If you hold down Command, your pointer will turn into a pencil tool, and you can actually just paint in notes like that. This technique is important because sometimes you don't know exactly what pattern you want to create, and maybe notation is not for you, and you want to be able to move things around. So for our next pattern, I'll use a different color, and I'll draw our grid over here. And what I'm going to do, just like I did last time, is I'm going to take the notes that are already existing, and I'm just going to move them around to get what our next pattern is. So our next pattern is going to look like this. So we're going to play on the and of each beat. Okay, so we see that this one is not on an and, but this one and this one are. So we'll just take out these ones. And pretty much we have our pattern right like that, without even having to play anything. Let's hear what it sounds like. So you can create patterns just by drawing things in randomly if you'd like, but you also have to make sure that you know where the chords change. So we can see exactly where our chords change here every 2 beats, but you got to keep that in mind when you're doing that. Okay, we're going to draw in our last pattern. So I'm going to draw this pattern one more time. So we're in 4/4. So we have A minor, D minor, A minor, D minor, A minor, D minor, F major, G major, and they're 2 beats each, of course. And let's take a look at this last pattern for the day. And this pattern is going to be very easy. We're just going to fill in every single note in the grid. So if we take a look down below, we can create that ourselves just by using the pencil tool. So remember, we hold Command, and we're going to paint in our notes. Now, one thing to mention is that you see all these notes are red, and that's because their velocities are very high. So the velocity is set down here. So if we wanted it to be maybe softer, we could turn down the velocity and then paint in again. So here's what it sounds like. Using eighth notes allows us to create interesting rhythms. But the really interesting rhythms come when we use 16th notes, which is what we'll be looking at in our next video.